He's going to teach us all the bells and whistles. He got up there and he looked around and he said, IBM has never laid anybody off in 116-year history. That's going to come to an end today, and I've been brought in by the stockholders to eliminate the fat out of this corporation, and I plan to do it very rapidly. Look to the left, look to the right. One of you won't be here in the next 2 weeks because I'm taking this group from 503 of you down to 275 of you. Then I'll be promoted by corporate and on my way out of here. I don't know any of you. I don't care to. This is strictly going to be a numbers game. Good luck. And he walked out. Anybody ever been let go? Anybody ever been in a corporation where you're nothing more than your social security number? On the day the guillotine fell at IBM, I was 32 years old, 29 and a half years left on the mortgage payment on the condo I just bought, boatload of credit card debt, student loans still not paid off from Penn State where I went to school, and $500 in the checking account. Real estate was not on the radar screen. So if you've read any of the emails that Ed and Lisa have been bombarding you with all week, the question you would have for me is, how on earth did she go from broke to doing over 498 rehabs, now building 100 houses in Branson, Missouri, that are vacation rentals that sleep 22 people or so? Well, here's how it worked. I freaked out that day. Went and turned my name in at an all-night diner, got the waitress job, and started taking dress clothes and changing them into black pants and white shirt at 5 o'clock at night and flung cheeseburgers and french fries till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, hoping to make $150 a night. As you understand, I needed to get one house payment ahead or one car payment ahead before I got the axe, because unemployment's a third of what you make. If any of you have ever been on it, you know what the game is, right? And so I ended up being one of the unlucky people at IBM who got to stay. That's good. Half of you got it, even with all the barbecue and fried food that'll put you to sleep. And so I got to stay. But what I got to see is IBM wrecked the lives of my friends who had been with them 30 years. I had only been with them 9 years, folks, so I was cheap on the payroll. I was single. I didn't have kids and a spouse. So when it came to all the medical benefits, I was very inexpensive. They cut all the people that had 5, 6 kids and a spouse on the medical plan. Didn't matter how good of an employee you were, it was all about the money. And I watched people who had dedicated their whole life to that company go sideways with no career path to go anywhere else because they'd given them everything. So I learned out real quick, life's not fair. So what got me into real estate is I came home one night in the middle of the night, pulled up in my little Honda Accord. I look over at the condo next to me, and they're slinging a mattress in the back of a U-Haul truck at 2:30 in the morning. And I'm going, where are they going? I'm scooping quarters off the end of a coffee counter, 12-hour shifts trying to save my house. Where are they going? See, I don't know how you all were raised, but my parents raised me, roof comes over your head first before cell phone and cable. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of these kids today. They want that $1,500 cell phone, and parents are going to give them anything they want, but then the roof over their head's not secure, right? So I'm thinking, where are they going? So what happened, the next morning I get up to go to work at IBM, they're gone. I couldn't understand that. Their place is abandoned. They took off. When IBM left, the prices in our town started to plummet, just like they did in this country in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. And all of you that's been around this game as long as I have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For one day a house is $300,000, a week later it's $280,000, and 2 weeks later it's $270,000, and you wait a year and it was $200,000. The young kids that are in the room, you haven't seen that yet. All you've seen is go up, go up, go up, go up, go up, go up, go up. Well, here's the thing. We're standing on a really interesting threshold in this country right now. We're standing on the bridge of 2007 all over again. The interest rates are higher now than they've ever been. And so all of you need to pay close attention, because this year is the game changer. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens comes the end of the year, because the interest rates are crippling this country right now. The prices are starting to come down. Branson, Missouri is one I'll use as an example. Great vacation rental town. They've dropped, $240,000 condos dropped to $210,000 literally in the last 3 weeks. Why? Well, with 8% interest rates, not as many people are taking vacations. Luxury items are the first thing to show the pain of what's really going on in this country. Us living off of credit card debt, after credit card debt for the last couple of years, the lines of credit are starting to run out for a lot of families. They're out of limit on their credit cards, so they're starting to cut back. So it'll be interesting to see. And I'm excited for it, because what I know is I made more money in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15 than I did the rest of my career. So we'll see what happens. So when the herds are running away, you should be running towards. When the herds are buying, you should be selling. Make sense? So anyway, I came home, found them throwing stuff in the back of a U-Haul truck. They took off, left it. The bank took it back 6 months later. They put it on the market for $79,000. That's what I paid for mine. I owed $63,000 on it, and I thought, ooh, I'm safe. The only problem is it didn't sell. The bank dropped it from $79,000 to $69,000 to $59,000, $49,000 to $39,000, and it still didn't move. You understand my unit's attached to it? Exactly the same floor plan. Finally, I come home one night and there's a big old banner on the balcony. It says, absolute auction to the highest bidder. Now listen, I was so dumb when I got in this, I didn't even know what that meant. I called the Century 21 girl up and go, what's that mean? Well, the highest bidder gets it. I said, well, what if nobody bids but me? And I bid $1,000. Do I get it for $1,000? Highly unlikely. Anybody ever meet a mean real estate agent that has no personality? Right? She bit my head off. I thought, well, I'll fix you. I'll just sit out on my porch and count how many people come to the open house, right? Nobody showed up. I was winning bidder on that townhouse at the auction for $27,500 when I had bought the identical unit just 18 months before for $80,000. And on the day I won it, I didn't know if it was the greatest day of my life or the dumbest move I had ever made. Because you understand, I owed $63,000 on mine. So I sat there and I said, well, lose my job, move next door. Now that was not a joke, and a bunch of you snickered. The payment on the one I had was $850 a month. The payment on the new one was $400 a month. That's 4 nights less of serving drunk people from 5 o'clock at night till 3 in the morning every month, right? So I got busy, shampooed the carpets, rented it out. It cash flowed for a little over $400 a month. I said, you know what, that's my car payment. I may lose my job, but I'll never lose my wheels to get a new job. You laugh. How many of you like to have a house that takes care of the car payment? Oh, how about your kids' car insurance? You got teenagers? Maybe it takes 2. Right? And so that's where the dream began, folks, for me, 25 plus years ago. Today, 498 houses later, life is a whole lot different. And so Ed's asked me to come in, him and Lisa, to share with you this weekend while I'm here, everything I've learned along the way. And so my plan with you tonight is to ask you some questions, and if you answer me honestly, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. This is not rehearsed. This is what you need to learn from me. And just so you're clear, my first year in this, not knowing what I was doing, I did 6 deals. Most of them were wholesales, where you find one and give it to some rich person and get paid the finder's fee, because I didn't have any money. There were no lenders or groups like this for me to go to. The second year, I found a hard money lender. Y'all know what that is, right? Somebody at 15% interest and 5 points and a bunch of junk fees. So I found me one of those rich ones. And yes, I paid 5 points and 15% interest on all the money I borrowed. And I do not begrudge Brookview 1 penny of what I had to spend. As I learned early on, it's not how much the money costs me, it's how much money it makes me. And you know, when I could buy a house for $35,000, put $40,000 into it and sell it for $110,000, netting out after all the junk and everything else and make $23,000 to $27,000, I was good with that, because that was half a year's salary. You understand what I'm saying? So my second year, finding the money and trying to figure out fixing them up and all that crazy stuff with contractors, my second year I did 17. The third year is the year I did 51 houses. Built a construction team of what I call 22 mature grown-up adults, and you should write that phrase down. Any of you that are struggling with the rehab side of this, and I don't care if you're keeping it or flipping it, if you're struggling with contractors and you're going to write the phrase down, mature grown-up adults. We'll spend some time on that tonight, because there's Handy Harry the hackers that are paid by the hour, and you're buying all the stuff and you're lugging it, and you're doing adult daycare. Ask me how I know that. Been there, done it, got the t-shirt. The right way to do this business, and the only way to do this business if you hang around me very long, is the mature grown-up adults. The year I did 51 houses, we did a little over 2.1 million in renovations that year, my third year at that. Built a team of 22 grown-ups. I don't buy anything. I write a detailed scope of work, listing every SKU number and brand name of what I want. They buy everything, they hump it, they lug it, they get it there. And the contract's real clear. You don't put in what I ask for, I don't pay you at the end. They get a little bit of money up front, a little bit of money in the middle, and the big hunk of money's on the rear end of this thing. And if you don't put in what I said had to be put in, you don't get the big draw at the backside. Put this down in your notes too. I see a bunch of you writing, starting to write. You're gonna figure out you're gonna need to write. Put this down in your notes. Don't ever get ahead on money and behind on work. That's where the problem begins. And ladies, I'm gonna say this to you, and you either love me or hate me. A woman who knows her stuff, who's firm, but fair, they will do anything for you. Way more than they will do for any man. You have the power at this game if you handle yourself correctly, but screaming at them is not the way it goes. You scream at them, they turn the volume off. I've learned I've had to deal with stuff a lot quicker, so when there's bad behavior, you confront it immediately, address it immediately. If they disrespect you the second time, there is no third time. Put this down in your notes, all of you. Disappointment leads to hurt, hurt leads to anger, anger leads to rage. You ever have a fight with somebody about something that wasn't even what you were really mad at them about? That's because you didn't deal with the disappointment early. So when a contractor disappoints me off the bat, we have a discussion about it. They apologize, they don't do it again. It was truly an honest mistake. You make the same mistake 2 or 3 times, and I know you're just not on the same page with me. Your agenda and my agenda are not going to work in my business. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so let me ask you a couple questions. Be honest with me, so I know what you need to learn from me. And I don't know who the speakers have been here over the last 18 months since I've been here, so I don't know what education you've taken. How many of you are struggling to find deals? High profit deals. Okay, everybody else has got all they can handle, or you just won't raise your hand no matter what I ask? Okay, so I see that's about half of you. How many of you do struggle with finding good contractors? Can't seem to find the ones that got their heads screwed on straight. Okay, how many of you are afraid of them that you know they're going to take advantage of you? 2 of you, 3 of you, just the ladies in the back. Okay? What are your other challenges? Because I'll cover those 3. Anybody else? Have anything else you're struggling with?
Time management.
Time management skills? Okay. Anybody else? So if I cover those, I fixed everything that's wrong in your real estate business.
Private money lender.
How to find a good private money lender? Guarantee you they're sitting in this room tonight. They're waving in the back. You got it here too. Listen, here's the first thing y'all gotta learn. The money's always in this room.
No, I was like, there's a problem. You find trust, and if things been vacant for 10 years, and you can't skip trace your private eyes or whatever, you can't find these people.
Give it up.
Yeah.
Okay, here, let me give you the numbers. Let me help you all on that. I do a big marketing blast out to get my phone ringing at the office. They have to call me. I don't go chasing anybody. I don't do cold calling out or any of that stuff. You've got to call me first and raise your hand, and you got to be motivated. That's step number 1. So for every 10 desperate sellers that call my office, I'm only going to look at 2 to buy 1. I weed out 8 out of 10. So anything that's complicated or convoluted or 52 heirs to an estate and half of them are dead and you can't find them, that was going to be a big time taker. It's out. I go after the easiest, fattest check. The thing of it is, if you don't do enough marketing, you've got one deal that comes in that you found, and by golly, you're going to make a deal where a deal's not out and you're chasing that one to try to make it a deal. The problem is you don't have enough marketing going on. Okay? I want a big a bunch of them calling in, and when they call in, then I get to pick the ones that are the easiest. So get out of the one deal-itis. So here's how you do that. Today's crazy market, everybody's looking. All the untrained real estate investors are all looking pretty much in the same place. Everybody's on Facebook, everybody's out there in the social media world telling everybody that they buy houses, right? You got the We Buy Houses cash signs scattered across town. Here's your rule of thumb. If it's easy to find it, all the untrained novices are there, and they're gonna overpay. So there's no way you're gonna win that game. Put this down in your notes. Go away from the herd. And go where the herd's not at. Okay? Now, how I went away from the herd was an accident. I used to live in Connecticut, did 240 plus houses up there. Had a whole bunch of Section 8 low-income rentals. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I had 17 headaches for 14 years. All of them were supposed to be making $400 a month in positive cash flow, and then you get to the end of the month, and there's more month in money. Anybody understand exactly what I'm talking about? Because when they wreck one and they moved out, you got carpet, paint, new refrigerator, countertop, and all that stuff, and that sucks up all the cash flow for 2 years of that thing. I suffered that game for 14 years. When I decided to move to Florida, I said, I'm done with that. No more evictions. I can't stand it. I just want my money. I want people to pay me. They know they owe it. I know when I sign a contract, I owe it. So I just want to deal with people like me. So I decided to liquidate my entire Section 8 portfolio. I got rid of 16 out of 17. The one I didn't get rid of, she had been with me 14 and a half years. I had never stepped foot in that house in 14 and a half years. So you know when you get it back what's going to happen, right? It's going to need a full gut job. So it's Thanksgiving. I'm down at my horse ranch in Florida, my 80-acre ranch. My cell phone rings and I answer it, and I'm like, hello, thinking it's my family calling to wish me like happy Thanksgiving. I'm like, hello. She's like, hey, this is the tenant on 117 Laval Street. And I'm like, okay. She says, I'm getting married. I'm coming off the Section 8 program. I'm moving. I'll be out like right after Christmas at New Year's because I fell madly in love and we're getting married and we're moving out of state. And I thought there is a God, right? Finally, it's going to be over. No more headaches, no more phone calls in the middle of the night. The toilet's plugged up trying to get the guys over there with the roto-rooter to clear everything out. I'm like, fantastic. I'm like, I'm happy for you. And I was. I'm like, well, just when you're out, just call me. You can leave the keys in the mailbox. I'll call the contractors, tell them to get started on it, because I'm 1,100 miles away, down in Florida now. And so, relieved, finally that chapter of my life comes to an end. No more chasing my money, no more going to eviction court. And I don't know how your evictions are here, but in Connecticut, it takes 4 to 4.5 months to get somebody out. You have to have an attorney if you own it in an LLC. It's a very costly endeavor to get your house back. Florida, I love Florida. We can evict in 21 days. We're very quick. You go into eviction court in Florida, the judge looks at the tenant. Did you pay? No. Why? Oh, the toilet's plugged up? Well, how are they supposed to fix the toilet if you don't pay? So pay all the penalties and pay all the court fees and pay today or get out. I mean, Florida's a whole different ballgame when it comes to real estate. And so that's one of the reasons I moved down there. So anyway, Christmas comes along, it's Christmas Eve, I'm sitting on my front porch, it's 80 degrees, I'm drinking a cup of coffee, the sun's going down, it's a perfect holiday weekend, and my cell phone rings, and I figure, well, it's my family calling to wish me Merry Christmas, so I answer the phone. She's like, I'm out. I'm like, who? She's like, the tenant from Laval Street, remember, I'm moving, we want to celebrate Christmas in our new house, so we got out early, so I just want to tell you, we're completely out. I'm to leave the keys in the mailbox, right? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, fantastic. And I hang up the phone. And I'm like, yahoo! It's over, it's over, it's over, it's over. This 17 years of torture is finally finished. And then it hits me. How cold is it up there? What is the weather like today? I get on my phone, put the weather up. It's 0. And it's snowing like crazy. There's no flights from Florida to Connecticut on Christmas Eve. The only thing I can think of, oh dear, is the water on? Because if it's on and she shut the heat off, if you've ever had a house freeze up and burst, guys, it is the worst. I bought a house from somebody that had a burst, with an $18,000 back due water bill. What you have to understand, when those pipes freeze hard and fast and that copper bursts apart, that water is shooting out that copper into light fixtures, into ceilings, flooding the carpet, and then that freezes like a great big iceberg. It's a $50,000 to $80,000 insurance claim. Ask me how I know twice. In my career it happens. And when it's really cold at 0 degrees, you can lose a house in about 18 hours. So I'm like, oh no. So I'm calling every contractor I have ever done business with in 15 years, and nobody's answering the phone. 2 hours later, my lead general contractor, he's like, what? There's 18 messages in my phone. I know you're not calling to wish me happy Christmas. So what is up? I'm like, she's out. He's like, oh no, it's 0 up here. I'm like, I know. Is the heat on? I'm like, why do you think I'm calling you? I'm going now. I'll call you in 15 minutes. And it seemed like 2 weeks. And the whole entire 15 minutes, I hate this house. I'm done with this house. I just wish it would fall in a sinkhole and go away. Any of you ever have one like that? Yeah, just 2 of us, right. Well, the rest of you have never bought it. Right? And so what happened is he got over there and the heat was on. And I'm like, never again. Here's what you have to understand, though, about multimillionaires. We take an obstacle and make it an opportunity. And every rehab, beat-up house is somebody else's obstacle that's an opportunity for you. I've turned around 498 of them. Grandma dies, the grandkids don't want it. It's got green, shaggy carpet. Kids don't have money to put new carpet in. Robyn does. Right? Well, here's what I learned that night. When I slowed down and got back to ground zero and got unemotional about the whole thing, what I realized is I think anybody that owns a house far away from where they live, in the back of your mind, every single day, you question it. Even if the tenant's paying. Because you don't know what they're living like or how they're taking care of it. Here's the other thing. The further away you move from it, the less you want it. It's one thing to check on a house when it's across Oklahoma City. It's another thing to check on a house if you move to Hawaii and it's here. You understand what I'm saying? So put this down in your notes. Where the herd doesn't go, and one of the most profitable, desperate seller categories I have ever went after and made the majority of my wealth on, is out-of-state owners who's owned the properties a long time. Out-of-state owners who've owned the house at least 7 years or longer. Now, why 7 years or longer? The debt reduction is there, and they've appreciated like wildfire over the last 7 years. And here's the thing you learn after you're 100 houses in. You keep hearing the same thing. I don't care. Just get me out of this thing what I paid for it. Now you deal with couples getting divorced. Just get me back what I paid for this. I don't care. Right? Appreciation's free money. It's like a lottery ticket. Most of them don't care about it. It wasn't theirs to begin with. Just get me what I paid for. Well, we've had great run-up over the last 7 years. I don't do well with short sales, where I got to create equity and wait for somebody at the bank to be in control of my destiny. I like to know there's profit in the house before I leave my driveway. So put this down in your notes. I'm not leaving the driveway for less than 35,000 reasons. Did you hear me? You young kids, did you hear me? It's just as easy to make 35 as 25 or 5. Matter of fact, the nastier the house is, the bigger the check. Does everybody understand? The year I did 51 houses, I made just a little over $1 million. Tickled to death for a girl making $45,000 at IBM. But my next year, I did 32 houses and made more than I did on 51. It's not about how many you've done. It's about the quality of what you've done. And Ed started to allude to this in my introduction, because one of the things he did share with you If my vacation rental's over in Branson, Missouri, many of you know where that little town is, down the road about 4.5 or 5 hours. What I used to get $800 a month for, I get $800 a night for. If I'm going to keep one, I'd rather have $800 a night than $800 a month. Hello? Right? I don't need 100 of them things. They do $110,000 in revenue each a year. I don't need 100 of them. You only need 4 or 5 really good ones, right? And here's the thing about keeping houses. I want a house that I keep that pays itself off in 7 years or less. Because I'm weird. I'm going to be different than any other speaker that you've listened to on any of those podcasts about leverage, 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 leverage. I'm a firm believer it's not your house till it's paid for. Like I heard him say he sold the one, he paid off 3 others. Yes, sir, Bubba. I'm with you. And I'm not going to keep any house that's going to take 15 or 20 or 30 years to pay for itself. That's one of the reasons I have sold all of my good rental properties, 1031 exchanged into the vacation rentals in Branson, because the houses in Branson make 3.5 times what a rental property will make. So write that down. A good vacation rental, nightly rental, will make 3 times what your rental properties are pulling in. That's where you can get them paid off quick. Does everybody follow? So what I do, folks, is the money comes in when my buy and holds. I go ahead and pay the taxes, the insurance, the cable, the electric bill, the mortgage, and all that stuff, and the cleaning fees, and buy toilet paper. Whatever is left that's raw profit, I take about 80% of that and send it into the bank. Right? I didn't live off that money last month. I didn't have it. I live off my flipping money, off my rehabs. I don't live off my keeper money. I let the keepers work really hard to pay themselves off so Robyn don't have to work anymore. Everybody follow that math?
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't, and this is going to hurt, I don't ever refinance them and suck money out. Because what you don't understand, all of you that do that with your rental portfolio, you're starting that big interest all over again. Because on a 30-year mortgage, it takes 14 years before half of that check you send in is yours and half is to the bank. That first check you send in, if it's $1,000, $997 went to interest and $3 went to you. When I get one that I'm paying and I've had for a while and it's paying mostly going into principal, there's no way I'm going to start that clock over against me ever again. Does that make sense to some of you?
Yeah.
And I know that violates what everybody tells you because it's all sexy to say, I got 300 doors. And I got so many people that I hear that. And then I sit down to have dinner with them and they can't pick the check up. I get stuck with the check every time.
I'll go to dinner with you.
I'm not looking to get married. I'm 58 and single and haven't done it, and I'm not looking to adopt. There's always a stalker in every class. All right, where were we? Oh, so out-of-state owners has had it 7 years or longer. Don't get me distracted, handsome. So after I thought that through, I thought, well, where would I get a list of out-of-state owners that had it 7 years or longer? So I started digging out there on the internet. Put this down in your notes. There's 2 good list brokers in our industry. One is called listsource.com, which is who I used for many years. ListSource is very accurate. That's one of the things I love about them. You buy a list from them, you mail them out, you don't get very many returned. Their list is scrubbed like every 3 months. So when I contacted ListSource, I said, yeah, we can give you a list of everybody that owns property where you live in your little country bumpkin town that don't live there anymore, that's had it 7 years or longer. And I said, okay, well, good. Can you run that list? Call me back and tell me how many. So the kid calls me back and he said, lady, there's 3,200 pieces of property in Ocala, Florida that are out-of-state owners that have it at least 7 years or longer. I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, well, what can you tell me about all of them? He said, I can tell you how many bedrooms, how many baths, how many square feet, when they bought them, what they paid for them, what they owe on them, what their interest rate is, what their mortgage payment is, if they're behind in the payments, what the property taxes are, if they're late on their property taxes, how much land that goes with it, how big the garages are. He said, there's 34 fields of information I got on every one of them houses. And I'm thinking, ooh, this is going to be expensive. So I said, well, what's that going to cost? He said, for the whole list. I'm like, I guess. He said, the whole list would be $320. And then I went, are you freaking kidding me? He said, hey, if that's too much money for you, I can sell you 500 names for $50 or 1,000 names for $100, or if you want the whole list, it's 10 cents a piece. It's $320. How many of you think there's a desperate seller or two in that list? I'm like, no, I'll just buy the whole thing. He's like, okay, got a credit card? I'm like, yeah, I got me one of those. So I give him my card number, and he exports a big old Excel spreadsheet. Y'all know what that is? Yeah. And folks, I'm low tech, no tech. So if I know what it is, I know most of you do. Right? I had a BlackBerry up until about 6 months ago. And I fell on it and broke it. I was birthing a horse out and fell on it on the way from the barn to the house and cracked it. I was devastated. Devastated. Well, they're not going to hack that. You all got all your credit card and banking information on that fancy sucker you got. Well, here's the thing. They're not going to hack a BlackBerry. I kept my BlackBerry because one of my students is a Secret Service agent in Washington, D.C., and he had one. We were the last 2 BlackBerry survivors, I think.
Blackberries.
And that's why he had his. He's like, they'll spend all this other money hacking the apples and all that stuff. They're not going to hack that. So, that's smart. I'm just following his path. So anyway, they send this big old list over, and I start looking down through it, and I noticed that sometimes there's the same name like 10 or 15 times, which means somebody owns 10 or 15 properties. So I'm like, well, I don't want to send them 10 letters because I'll look like a stalker, so I would delete out 9 of them. Does everybody follow that? So if somebody's got 20 houses, you're going to send 1 letter, not 20 letters to the same person. So that's all I did to change the list. Now, I'm a pretty simple country bumpkin. You all know I've got horses and I got a ranch. I'm usually not dressed up like this most days. Here's what I've learned almost 500 houses in. When I deal with a realtor, or I deal with a banker, or I deal with an attorney who's got desperate customers, like a divorce attorney, bankruptcy attorney, or a probate attorney, that's kind of where you put your brag and riches on it. You've done a lot of houses and you got a lot of money and you know what you're doing, right? But when you're dealing with little mom and pop who's down and out, you don't show any of that. You're a humble soul. Because here's what I've learned over the years. They have to trust me to tell me the truth. If they tell me the truth about what the problems are, I can get to fix the problems. But if they hide it from me, I don't know what they really need. In order for me to buy a house from somebody, there's 4 things I have to get agreed. We got to agree on a price. We got to agree on how much down. We got to agree on the time frame to get paid. And then we have to agree on the interest piece. And what I know about folks that are up in age, many of them would rather have a higher price over time than a lower cash offer now. Because Social Security doesn't cut it. So if they can get $1,000 a month for the rest of their life and then you leave the remainder to their kids, it really helps take the pressure off, especially now with groceries and gas and everything being so expensive. So for me, I only need 1 out of 4 in my favor. I can give them 3, and we can still both win at this. That makes sense to all of you. So I wrote a 4-paragraph little letter from country bumpkin, little old 3rd grade knowledge person me, to them. The number 1 negotiation strategy I use, folks, is called mirror and mimic, where I become just like the person that I'm dealing with. So I've got to learn how to mirror and mimic somebody who's going to open a letter that I'm never going to get to probably see face to face, till maybe the closing table. So here's what I know about 95% of this class. 95% of you are either a parent, a grandparent, or a pet lover, or a combination of the 3. Anybody not in that group? I got 1 single guy in the back. Here's what I know about pets. That usually means you're a kind-hearted soul. You asked me about horses. You had quarter horses. They're fast. Excuse me. He asked me what kind I had. I told him the big old Gypsy Vanner draft horses that are like 1,100-pound dogs. Instantly, there was a rapport between us. Because we both know what it's like to look at those big brown eyes, and when they look into your soul, you become one. And a horse chooses, folks. They pick one person to fall in love with for their whole life. And when they fall madly in love, they will die for you. They would put themselves in front of a tractor trailer. We sell them, we train them, we ride them, we tell them what to do, we boss them around with all these ropes and metal stuff in their face. They're the most patient animals on the planet. They put up with a lot from us. Like we go up and go to slap them in the head, good boy. They can kill a fly with their tail. That's how sensitive their skin is. A fly walks across their back and they can kill it. Those little beady fly legs driving them nuts. We go up, whack, whack, whack. They're tolerant. So what I know about folks that are animal lovers, once you know that you are, it typically means you're a kinder soul and you're okay to kind of tell some stuff that you might not share with just everybody. So I fed a mother horse and a baby horse in the back of my letter. I took a picture of Goldie and her baby on my ranch, and I fade that as a watermark in Word. All of you know what Word is, right? You know how to take a picture with your fancy phone. All you do is import that picture of your dog, your Shih Tzu, your Maltese, whatever it is, into the background of the letter with you holding it. Then they know who you are. Make sense? Like I walked in this hotel to check in today, and there was the cutest little French bulldog and sitting there looking at me when I came in. That's the dog of the girl that works the front desk. That little dog had my heart from the second I got here. And everybody come in and greeted the little French bulldog. You need to break the ice with non-verbal communication, not verbal. Is everybody clear on that? Now, the letter needs to be simple, 4 paragraphs, nothing fancy, no bragging, no I've done 51 houses in a year. It's just, you like the neighborhood, I like the neighborhood, you got a house there, I'd like to have a house there, or I already bought one there, we're just the same. So please call me. And later in the letter, call me so we can discuss this. If you don't want to call me, you could email me here, because many people that are embarrassed, especially the elderly that got themselves in a financial problem, they'll write a Jerry Springer story to an email and send it. And my email address is an AOL address for a reason. It's because I'm trying to mirror and mimic what I got. It's not a fancy business Gmail, and there's no website anywhere in the letter. Once I got the letter done, I had a girl who was paralyzed from the waist down who needed to make some money. I had her do 1,000 letters for me. We printed them at my office and we bought the stamps. I sent the box to Katy, Texas. She was hit by a drunk driver who rolled her pickup truck down over an embankment, so she can't move anything below her belly button. But Mandy can do this. And so we boxed up the 1,000 letters, and I told her 60 cents a piece. You sign my name, you lick them, you stick them, you stuff them, and you write them, and you mail them, and I'll pay you $600 for that. And I said, if you feel like doing 2, do 2. If you feel like doing 100, do 100. Because I didn't know how much pain she was still in. Mandy did 1,000 letters in 24 hours. Wow. She needed the money. Had her mom take them to the post office, and they dumped them out in Katy, Texas. My phone went bananas, and I made the mistake that it went to my cell phone, not to the office phone, because I didn't think I was going to get, but maybe 10 or 15 phone calls. By the time it settled out, about 11 days later, we were 127 phone calls in. Hello? How many of you like to be 127 desperate sellers calling you? The rest of you did not get it. Or it scares you. Why does it scare you? Oh, you don't have the money to buy it. It's okay. Where would the money be to buy them?
In this room.
In this room. I mean, Ed teed the ball up for all of you. Anybody got a good deal? He brought one, right? So don't be ashamed you don't have the money. It doesn't matter how much you got. Some days it's not enough. Then some days you have a bunch of big closings and then you got enough. So I don't care how long you've been in this, you're going to be on one side of that fence or the other, even those of us that are almost 500 houses in now. Don't ever be ashamed you don't have it. The money's here. Just bring it. Make sense? All right. Now, here's where I screwed up. The phone was going to my cell phone. when I would be on the phone with somebody asking them, well, why do you want to sell it, and how long have you owned it, and all that other stuff, somebody would be calling in. Here's what I learned is really important for you. If I don't answer that phone live, and it goes to a voicemail, it's a 70% hang-up rate. So you understand each one of them is probably worth $30 or $40 or $50,000, and you're losing them. Has everybody got what I just said to you?
Yes.
Because this is critical. I had to get the phone out of my life. I had to. Because I couldn't keep up with all of this stuff that was going on. So I hired a company to answer my phone. And their name is patlive.com. PATLIVE.com. The lady that owns the company is Patricia. The operators answer live. The Pat Live squashed it together, and that's the name of her company. All of the operators are in the United States. They all speak perfect English, southern, sweet lady voices, nothing with a heavy, thick accent going across the water. Because what I know about my elderly sellers, if they can't understand somebody, they're like me with no patience, they hang up. Right? And so I didn't want to lose any of that, because at $35,000 to $50,000 profit a piece, I didn't want to give up one. So I spend about $150 to $200 a month to have my phone answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm gone today, tomorrow, through Sunday with you guys, so I'm not there to answer it, but I don't want them not talking to somebody immediately. And folks, you keep it really simple, and you keep it third grade. Good evening. This is Robyn Thompson's office. Are you trying to get a hold of her to sell her a house? To buy one of her houses? Or do you need to get a hold of Robyn for some other reason? The only other reason is a contractor with a quote. But see, there's only 3 reasons you'd ever call my office. What they hear, because they're trying to sell a house, is the first thing. No, that's me. I'm calling to try to get rid of this thing I inherited from my grandmother that's a mess. Fine. Great. Could you tell me how many bedrooms it is? Can you tell me how many bathrooms? Does it have a garage? Do you know what your square footage is? No, I don't have any idea. That's okay. And then the 2 magic questions. Now, folks, there's only 2 questions I need to ask anybody to know whether my Mercedes comes out of my garage or it stays in there. And again, I'm going to say this to you. There needs to be at least 35,000 reasons for it to come out. And listen, I'm not being arrogant, I'm not being hooty-tooty, but here's what you got to understand. Your job is to take care of your family financially. My job is to take care of my family financially. If my dad gets cancer again, I want to make sure I can pay for him to go be treated anywhere in the world. I can't buy deals that are bad. I can't buy losers that make no money. If I do, I'm never going to get anywhere, and then I'm going to be in financial trouble. My job is not to replace them in the quicksand. I can either lift them out of the quicksand, or if they're in the Titanic, I'm not jumping on with them. Does everybody understand that? You can't save everybody. And listen, I'm mean. This is where Sean's going to think, ooh, she's tough. Right? I'm mean. Because here's the thing. I can't help it if somebody wasted their paycheck for 40 years and never saved a nickel. I didn't do that. I can't fix everybody. If they've disrespected money their whole life and got themselves in a real bad pickle, I can't fix that. And here's the other thing I know. Bad things happen to good folks. But I'm not replacing them. I've done it twice in my career that I felt bad for a family, and I bought the house and I ended up losing money on both those houses. I will not do it again. My job is to take care of my family, my kin. I'll tell them who to call to sell it, which is the best realtor to unload it. But I'm not getting into one that I'm not going to make anything. Does that make sense? One of the ones I bought that I shouldn't have bought. Husband was mowing the lawn. Wife was frying chicken. She was too busy to watch the son. He was too busy. He said, you asked your mother if you could go swimming, because the kid wanted to go swimming. The mother said, you asked your dad. The kids got tired of neither one of them having time for him, and he jumped in without his floaties on and he drowned with them both home. They couldn't stand to live there after that. I get it. I wouldn't want to come home and look out my kitchen window and see where my son drowned either. Right? And I bought it. They owed $180. It was worth $200. By the time I got it done and got it sold, I lost about $6,000 on it. I should have never bought it. But I felt bad. I had to have a serious conversation with myself after that, but you can't feel bad again. We should have told them to call Remax, they would have sold it. If it was shorted by $6,000 or $8,000, the bank would have had to take the beating on that. Right? So when I tell you guys, there has to be a certain amount of money before you go look, I mean that with my whole heart. Your time is the most precious gift you've got. But you're not trading one job for another one. Right? If you run this business effectively by time management and don't go chasing a bunch of dead ends, you can do a lot in a very short period of time, time-wise, right? So that's why for me there has to be parameters on how much the value is. Matter of fact, if it's worth 200, if you owe more than 160, I'm not going. Not a chance. Make sense? Now, what I can tell you is the two magic questions are as follows. Why are you selling? And what do you owe? Why are you selling? Well, we're just thinking about downsizing because we're getting up in years and this house might be a little too big. I'm not going. It's just not a motivation that's pressing. Why are you selling? Here's one that we bought a couple years ago that was one that was near and dear to my heart. Why are you selling? My husband's been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. They told us today that he's got 6 months to live. We just want to go home to Ohio and be with our daughters and our granddaughters for whatever days we have left. They lived in Florida. What was the one word that showed motivation more than anything else?
6 months.
6 months?
Just.
Just? No. Granddaughters? No. Dying? No. Moving? No. Cancer? No. Okay, listen up, you all. Go home? Nope. Listen, let me give it to you. We'll be here all night. You maybe get it by Saturday. No. Nope. This is where I realize the more and more that I teach students on negotiation, I realize how my coach teaching me to slow the pace way down and shut up and listen has got me more deals than ever before. My husband's been diagnosed with cancer. There's no doubt there's motivation, right? He's been given 6 months to live. We just want to go home to Ohio for whatever good days we have left. By her saying whatever days we have left, I knew she had medical issues too. And folks, I've worked with enough married couples that's been married 57, 60 years. I know how much they take care of each other. And then if one of them's got something wrong, the other one's not going to tell it because they don't want to worry the one that already has something wrong. But they'll put themselves last and put the one they love first. And if there's not enough money to go around for medicine, it's usually one of them's getting treated and the other one's not, whichever one is not telling. So I knew it. So here's how I start negotiation. I pull up in their little driveway. She's outside puttering with her posies. And I'm going to negotiate very differently than you ever will. And many of you will think I'm a little bold, but I'm past the point in my life of sidestepping stuff and beating around the bush. I would rather just put it on the table, tell me what the issue is, and I can either fix it or I can't. And I'm tired of people not telling me about problems, and then it becomes, boom, a major catastrophe, and now I'm fixing a great big mess where if you'd have just told me in the beginning, it wouldn't have been that bad. Like when somebody gets one house payment behind, and they don't do anything, and then by the time they want you to fix it, they're 18 house payments behind. And it's too late. I walked up to her, and I looked at her, and I said, you called me to come look at your house. And I said, I'm here. I said, what kind of cancer has he got? Look her square in the eyes. She doesn't, like, pancreatic. And I know what she's thinking. Why would you ask me that? Here's why. My dad had cancer 3 times. I know how it's not right. It's not fair. I know how it feels like a death sentence. And I told her the truth. My dad was diagnosed with colon cancer and kidney cancer simultaneously. Had they not found the colon cancer, they would have never known he had kidney cancer. And that's the one, folks, that moves to your brain and your bones, and that's the one that's a silent killer. My dad was 55 years old when he was diagnosed. I thought for sure I was going to lose my dad when I was 30 years old. It's not right. My mother flipped out, couldn't handle it. My brother was a crying, screaming, hysterical mess. My dad didn't need the whole family thinking he's going to die. He needed the rock, which I wasn't there, but I had to be whether I wanted to be or not. I'm like, we're going to beat this. I'm with you all the way. And I spent a year with chemo and radiation treatment side by side with somebody who wasn't the best dad, because nobody else in the family could do it. And I said to her, I said, he beat it. 10 years later, got prostate cancer, beat that too. I said, my dad died of a heart attack at Walmart. I said he went riding one of them buggies to buy a bunch of carrots for some horses. And then he went to plug that buggy in, and when he bent down, he took a stroke and never made it to the hospital. So I said, I knew what cancer can do to a family. I said, you have every right to be mad. You can cry, you can scream, you can throw things, but you can't do it in front of him, right? If you want to go do that for a half hour, I'll go in there and keep him busy. Because I understand. And whether I buy your house or not, you can call me and ask me anything, or if you just need me to come give you a hug, I know you're not going to let him know how scared you are. She looked at me and she said, you know what the real problem is? And I said, no, but I'll listen. She said, we have 58 years of stuff in that garage. And the two realtors that have been here won't list it because it's piled full of stuff. He's kind of like a hoarder, you know. He's got rakes and tools and shovels and axes and weed whackers and lawnmowers and parts of lawnmowers. She said, I'm 80 years old. How am I getting rid of all that? Our two daughters are in their 40s. They're so busy. They don't have any vacation time left. They can't come help us out. He's going to be dead before I get to tag sale all this stuff and get it out of here. And she said, my biggest fear of all is him dying in my arms and I'm alone after he's gone. In a house that we've been in almost 60 years. I looked at her, I said, how is he today? She said, he has good days and bad days, but right now he's still good. I said, then we need to get you to Ohio in the next week. I said, because we know this is not going to stay this way. I said, I'm going to go in there and take about 15 minutes. I'm going to walk around your house, and then tomorrow I'm going to come back with the best I can give you. And maybe there's more than one way I can buy this house. Tomorrow when I come back, I'm going to come back with a little thing of purple posty stickies, and we're going to put posty stickies on everything that needs to go to Ohio. And whatever doesn't need to go to Ohio, you're just going to leave it with me, and I'll buy it with it in it. You don't need to get rid of everything. I got 22 guys who have got strong backs who would love to have the tools. It'll be like Christmas in July. And they're good, hard-working men just like your husband. So the price I offer you will be with all of that stuff that you don't want. She said, we're going to a 12 by 14 foot room. She said, you know how hard it is for 60 years to go to a 12 by 14 foot bedroom at my daughter's. I said, well, all the pictures and all that stuff we'll pack. We'll bubble wrap. I'll make sure none of it gets broken. Whenever you want to go, I'll hire the movers. And then we'll get you on a plane. Oh, no, we're going to drive it. I said, no, you're not driving 22 hours on a freeway with him throwing up the whole way, with tractor trailers whipping by you on I-95 interstate. No, I'm taking you to the airport. We're going to get you through security. We're going to get you each front seat, and you'll be in Ohio in an hour and 35 minutes. Your daughters can pick you up on the other side. The car goes on a tractor trailer. It'll beat you there. And I'll arrange the whole thing. Folks, the arranging that, the tickets and all that stuff is like $4,000. It just goes into the negotiation price of the house. You all understand what I'm saying? This is the stuff the realtors won't help with. And this is what the wholesalers don't even care to listen to. They just want wham, low cash, smack. And then they wonder why they get rejected 95% of the time. Because they haven't fixed the problem. You new ones, listen to me closely for a second. All you have to do is be a kind-hearted soul and listen for a little bit and try to figure out the solution, and you will win big time. You don't have to be at Harvard MBA to do what I do. You just have to care a little bit. Try to fix it. Now, let me give you the numbers on the house and show you how to fix it. House fixed up is worth 200 grand. Write it down, because I'm going to let you structure offers here in a second. And I know I'm going to go a little bit long, and my alarm's going to go off, and we're going to go 20 minutes late and goof up the beer and the cheeseburgers next door. But I think you need to learn how to make multiple offers. How many of you don't know how to make 3 offers on a house? How many of you don't, let me repeat it. How many of you don't know how to make 3 different offers on the same house at once? Okay, we're going to take 10 minutes and do this, because this is probably the most important thing you will ever learn from any real estate guru. It took me years to master this. First thing you got to know is how much is the house worth fixed up. That's called ARV, after repaired value. That I usually get MLS solds from one of my buddy realtors from. So the house is worth $200,000 fixed up. Second number you always got to know is how much work does it need? Repairs. There are 17 repair categories you're going to have to get good at estimating. This house was simple. Green, shaggy carpet from the 70s with a wear path. Does the carpet need replaced? Yepper. Right? It didn't smell. A lot of folks up in years, they're fanatics for keeping the house clean. It's just old. Master bathroom was fine. Second bathroom was canary Easter egg yellow. That's a gut job. Yellow toilet, yellow sink, yellow tub, out, gotta go. So can we just say $6,000 there? Because it was not a very big bathroom. All the light fixtures and paddle fans are 1970s. So that stuff needs changed out, about $1,500 worth of stuff. The refrigerator was one of them great big avocado green things. So was the stove and refrigerator. All brand new stainless steel appliances would be nice, about $3,500. So all in, the repairs are about 15 grand. Okay? New roof, new windows, good HVAC system, good air conditioning. We're all good there. They did take good care of all that stuff. But the refrigerator is 1940s. So the first thing I got to do is figure out my offers. And typically when I present 3 offers to them, it's on a yellow piece of tablet paper. No fancy iPad, that stays in the car. I handwrite it out, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's no more than 25 words total on the piece of paper for all 3 offers. Not 25 words each. Total offers, total words, 25. I go from lowest to highest. Write that down, because that's important. I'm leading them to where I want them to go. Okay? So the lowest offer will always be my cash offer. And that's called MAO, M-A-O. Stands for maximum allowable offer, which means the most I can pay. I'll try to keep it in 3rd grade education, right? So, if the house is worth $200,000, the Mayo formula, the buying formula that all rehabbers use, is what is it worth fixed up times 70% minus the repair cost is the most we'll pay. So $200,000 times 70% is $140. Everybody follow? The repairs were 15. We take that off of there, so that brings us to 125. Has everybody got it? I'm going to start at 120. So I got a little negotiation room with her. Everybody good? I mean, we'd be good to pay 120 for a house that needs 15 is worth 200. In a decent neighborhood with a decent school district. We good? Now, if that's the only offer I lay down, I got about a 10% chance of getting that. This is where the wholesalers only know to give that one, they quit. And I wonder why they got rejected so many times, because that's the only offer they know. Write down the words, offer number 2, split funded. Split funded is so simple. Some now, some later. Could I give her $140,000 for her house by giving her $20,000 now, which would cover the move, and get her to Ohio, and she'd probably still have $12,000 or $14,000 left over. So could I give her $140,000, $20,000 now, and $120,000 in 5 years. And then rent it out for like $1,600 a month for the next 5 years. Hello? Well, if I rent it out for $1,600 a month and the taxes and insurance are $300 a month, I'm making like $1,300 a month, right? Could I save that up for the next 60 months? And that's most of what I got to give her. Yeah, well, if you're disciplined, you'll go spending that on a new Maserati, that'll work. Because what you're going to need to borrow is about $50,000 in 5 years. And I can tell you right now that any lender in this town with 450 credit scores will gladly lend you $50,000 or $60,000 on a house worth $200,000. The key is you have to be disciplined not to blow that extra $1,300 a month. Hello? But here's what you're really at. If you give her the 140/20 down and $120,000 in 5 years, and she counters to you and says the following, is there any way I can get any money in the middle? What has she really said? What she said is, I'm good on the price, I'm good on the down, and I'm good on 5 years. Remember I told you there's 4 things. You got price, down, and time locked up. Time's in my favor. I got 5 years to pay for it. Everybody follow. And could I give her $3,000 every 6 months? Yeah. Could I give her $2,000 every 3 months? Yeah, because the tenant's paying me and I'm just going to give it to her. Then we're taking it off of what's owed. Hello? Follow? Number 3. It's going to be more than 140, and it's going to be more than 20 down. I'm leading them to where I want them to go. Number 3 for me is owner finance. I'm going to give her 160, which is more than any realtor is going to get her. Because understand, 200 minus 12 or 14,000 in real estate commissions and a building inspection, and the buyer's going to ask for a whole laundry list of stuff to do. 160 is a better deal for her. I'm going to give her 160. I'm going to give her $40,000 now. And then I'm going to give her $1,000 a month for 120 months. She won't have to wonder how much she's going to get. Does everybody follow that? 160, 40 down, leaves me owing her $120,000, and I'm going to give that to her at $1,000 a month for 120 months. And then I'm going to shut up and not say a peep. Which one do you think she's going to take? 1? How many of you think 1? Because he's only got 6 months to live. How many of you think they're going to take 1? Nobody? 2? 3? Every time you think you know which one they're going to take something different than what you think. That's why I give up trying to figure out what they're going to do anymore.
I got a question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You've got your legal pad out, if you're gonna make 3 offers, you don't let her know you're gonna make 3 offers.
Yeah, I do.
So you.
Oh, yeah, I do. Here's what I do. I sit down with them, I say, listen, last night, the reason I wanted to come back today is last night I spent about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes analyzing all the houses in your neighborhood to figure out what the most is I can give you. Listen to my words. As I wanted to come here today and present to you the most I could give you. See, they know there's going to be no negotiations here. Maybe $1,000, right? And so I struggled with that because I love your little house, and I knew if I pay all cash, I wasn't going to be able to give you as much as I want, because I saved my cash to buy foreclosures because I get them at 50 cents on the dollar. But I didn't want to hurt your feelings because I know you've had this house for 60 years. So what I did is I came up with a couple different ways I could buy your house, and what I'd like to do is give them to you, and then you two think about it, and if you got to talk to the girls, you could call them, and then just let me know whether it's number 1, number 2, or number 3. So the first way I came up with is to give you that cash because, you know, I understand that your husband's not feeling well, and so if I paid cash for it, the most I could give you was $120. And I know your house is worth more than that. The second way, though, I came up that I could give you more and give you $140,000 for the house is I go ahead and just give you $20,000 now. That gives you more, and then I could go ahead and pay you off in 5 years the remaining 120. And if you needed money in the middle, we could work that out. The third way I come up with getting your house to give you the most that I could possibly give you would be $160. I would go ahead and give you $40,000 so that you've got plenty of money to get the Ohio. I'm going to pay for the car also. I'm going to pay for the plane tickets also. So you're going to walk out with $40,000 out of the closing, and then I would send you $1,000 a month every month. And if I can be honest with you, if something happens to you two, we could go ahead and put it right in the paperwork right now that if something happens to one of you, the $1,000 goes to the other. Upon the death of the second person, then you tell me how you want it to go. $500 to each daughter or $250 to each for the grandkids. And we just put that all in the paperwork so nobody's going to fight about it and nobody has to go to probate over it. So if you guys want to think about that, talk to your daughters and figure out how you want to work that out. And he spoke up. He said it all goes to the 2 granddaughters of the daughter we're moving in. The other one had no time for us, has not helped us, and has not, offered us a place to stay. You go ahead and give each of the 2 granddaughters $500 each for my oldest daughter. And he was adamant how he wanted that because he was pissed. Because he said, I'm not going to live that long and then she's going to have nobody. The other one, the youngest one, is too busy. After all those years that we raised her, put her through school and everything else, she doesn't have time for her mother. The daughter that's taking us in her daughters are going to benefit for it. And I said, well, we could even set up a college fund. That $500 a month goes into an educational IRA for their 2 granddaughters so that they can't touch it until they go to school. If that's how you want it paid out, I'll have Equity Trust get the account set up. And so he's like, let me talk that over with my wife. And I said, well, you guys think about it. You can call me up tomorrow, let me know. If you have any questions, you can call me anytime or have the daughters call me. He said, no, I think we know what we're going to do. He said, I'm pretty sure I know what I want to do. And I said, well, how about I just walk outside, give you 2 a minute, and then you come get me? Or if you need more time, then just come out and tell me you need more time. I'm not going anywhere, and the offers will be good for as long as you want them to be there. I don't pull them back on Friday at 5 o'clock, right? Because it takes a while. And so he's like, I think we ought to go with number 3. And she said, well, I'd be good with that. And I said, okay, then it's number 3. Because folks, you understand, I can't do paperwork and contracts until I know which one they pick. And it's never contracts. It's like, I'm going to now need to do a little paperwork. I always talk a 3rd grade level education with them, not to scare them off. Because they had never sold a house in 60 years. They'd never done that. That was the house they bought when they got married. Right? They've never done it. They don't know how to do it. And then I just asked them, I said, do you have anybody representing your estate or your will? Yeah, we have a will. I said, did you like the person who did the will? Yeah, we thought they did a good job. I said, well, then we'll just have them do the paperwork. We'll just have your person do the paperwork. I'll let them know what we're doing, and then they'll do it, and they'll make sure it's right to protect you because you're hiring them to do the paperwork. And we'll have it done, and we'll be ready to go in a week. Folks, when there's medical like that, I don't mess around. He needed to get to Ohio while he had good days with his granddaughters. Because you understand with pancreatic cancer, there are not going to be too many more when they're on chemotherapy treatments 5 days out of 7. It's some pretty brutal stuff. Right? And so I have a lot of respect to try to facilitate stuff to make it as easy and as least amount of stress as possible. And I did not take the shipping of the car and the packing all the bubble wrap and all that stuff out of the $40,000. I just did the right thing. Because what I know is when you do the right thing, it comes back 100 times. You know exactly what I'm talking about. When you do the right thing, it just kind of seems like your business booms after that. Does that make sense to everybody? They chose number 3. I go to the closing a week later. I normally don't. But once in a while you have one of those feelings where you ought to be there. At the closing, he got sick. Real sick. Like vomiting sick. He was such a cool guy because he just looked at us. He's like, ladies, I need to excuse myself. I mean, a man like that still calls the love of his life 60 years old later, my darling, the love of my life, I need to excuse myself. I've waited for one like that my whole life, haven't found him yet, but I'm still looking, because guys like that give me faith that they're there. And so he went, Josh up, you matchmaker. And so he gets up and he excuses himself, and we sit there, me and her, and she's across the conference room table at me, and she looks at me and she said, I have to tell you something. I said, okay. She said, I'm gonna die with dignity because of you. And you should know that. And I looked at her kind of weird. I had no idea what she was trying to say to me. She said, I've been a housewife my whole life. She said, I never worked much outside the house. So she said, I never paid much into Social Security, you know. He was the breadwinner. She said, when we got married, you know, that was the way it was. She said, I kept a clean house. Meals were on the table when he got home. His laundry was done. She said, we raised 2 good girls. She said, but you know, when he dies, I'm only going to get 1/3 of his pension. And she says, I have heart issues. Stuff I haven't told him. She said, I don't always take my medicine because it's expensive. And I don't want him to know that. But she said, my biggest fear is when he dies and I only get 1/3 of it, I'm not going to have enough to live off of. And she said, do you have any idea at 80 years old what it would be like to have to look at your 48-year-old daughter and ask her for money to get a haircut? Or ask to beg money from your daughter to buy Christmas presents for your granddaughters? Or not be able to get them nothing, and you have a birthday cake at the table, at the dinner table, and not even be able to get them a card because you don't have enough money? She said, that's what I was facing. She said, an extra $1,000 a month will give me money to buy ice cream cones and take them to the movies. To be able to get them more than a pair of socks at the Christmas thing under the Christmas tree. She said, you know, it's not a lot of money, but to me, it's everything. She said, you know, we lived a pretty simple life our whole life, but she said, I couldn't imagine what it was going to be like to have to be a burden on a 48-year-old daughter. You're not supposed to be a burden on your children. You're supposed to give to your children and not have to ask to take from them. She said, I didn't know how this was ever going to work out. She said, but I know now. I just want to thank you, because he had no idea what I was thinking. Because I wouldn't dare tell him. Because he would feel like he failed me. I'm like, no, we'll just keep that between us. That's between the girls. Took him about 10 minutes to come back. And then the next day I dropped him at the airport. I kept that house, put a nice family in it, and left it run the 120 months. I just sold that house and 1031 exchanged that into an $800,000 house in Branson. I sold it for $350,000. I exchanged that $350,000 tax-free into a $800,000 house, and now does $110,000 a year. So you ask me if doing the right thing pays? Yeah, here's what you're going to hear after tonight. You're going to go talk to all your friends and all these other investors who missed tonight's meeting, and they're going to tell you that there's no way you will ever get a 0-interest loan. Because that's what I got. Well, I'm here to tell you I have done it over 30 times in my career. And what I can tell you is the big chunk of land in Branson, Missouri that I'm building 100 houses on, that one's at 0 interest too. It was listed for $3.2 million, then $2.7, it didn't sell, then it didn't sell, they dropped it to $2.2. Nobody was looking at it. I told them how bad I didn't want it. They told me how bad they didn't want it, and we landed at $990,000 with $300,000 down and $110,000 a year for 6 years. And I've been offered $3 million for it, and I've only built the first 6 houses on it. After I did it, all the other developers were freaking out after the mortgage got recorded, and they saw, because when it was at $2.7 million, they figured cash was the only way to do it. I listened to what those guys said. We don't want it. We built 62 houses. We don't want to build 220 more. We're 82 years old with a $5 million house down in St. Thomas paid for that we haven't been to. I kept telling them, I don't want it either. And the more I told them I didn't want it, the more they told me how much they didn't want it, the more the price. They asked for interest. I told them, nope, that's a deal killer. Okay, we don't need it. I did it one piece at a time. Price first, down second, interest third, time. They would have given me longer if I'd have asked for it, right? It was sitting in front of everybody's nose for almost 3 years, and nobody thought time, down, interest, and price. It works. You just gotta give it a whirl. But you'll be surprised is they aren't nearly as mad or throw you out of the house as you think. They welcome it with open arms because nobody else thought about it. Good? So out-of-state owners, 7 years or longer, 60% of them are paid for. So 60% of them you're going to structure on a piece of yellow tablet paper. Everybody got it? Ed, where are you at? Lisa, where? Oh, there you are. I'm going to make a mess right now, and you're going to hate me, but you'll get over it. Saturday, we're doing the junker class. The first 2 hours I want to do and give them the horsey letter and then teach them how to use it, and teach them how to mail it, and then teach them how to answer the phone. So they can structure the offers I just taught them and actually implement that. I'm going to need to know tomorrow how many people are coming because I didn't make any of them before I came, so I'm going to need to go to Office Depot and print one for everybody. How many of them that would help if you actually had the letter and I showed you how to use it? All right, not enough people put their hand up, forget it. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to need to know that by noon tomorrow, so they can't wait till Saturday morning to just walk up and say, I'm here. So Saturday, just so you're clear, everybody, we're going to cover marketing in the morning to get your phone ringing with a bunch of desperate sellers. Then what I want to do is I want to go through contractors on Saturday. I want to teach them how to build the 8 mature grown-up adult team, where to find them, how to pre-screen them, and then I want to make sure we go through the independent contractor agreement. Everybody write this down. The magic 3 words is an independent contractor agreement that's crystal clear on what the responsibilities are. But the most important piece of it is you do not buy the materials. Put that down. Do not buy the stuff. Here's why. The IRS tax code is crystal clear. He who buys materials is the employer. My buddy had done 175 houses, bought 8 sheets of plywood to save $1 a piece, and the roofer had a kid fall off the roof and die. He hit the sidewalk and broke his back and died 8 days later. Brain dead. My buddy got sued for $3.5 million because he bought the plywood and he lost everything. My asset protection attorney will tell you crystal clear, he who buys any of the materials and provides a work location is an employer. That's why I do not buy anything. The contractors buy everything. I tell them what I want, they have to pay for it. So out goes the frequent flyer miles on your Delta card. All right, and we'll go into that in a lot more detail in the asset protection piece of that on Saturday. I want to spend about 2.5 hours on pre-screening contractors and going through the penalty clauses and how much and all that stuff. And then what I want to do at the end of Saturday is I want to teach you how to sell a house, and it's not throw it over to a realtor and hope for the best. I need to walk you through an FHA loan, a VA loan, front-end ratios, back-end ratios, so you understand what goes on behind the scenes in a mortgage to make sure your buyer is going to get closed and take you out. And folks, this is super critical to you. You got to understand, the houses I'm building over at Branson Canyon that Ed has come and saw, they're selling at $900,000 to $1 million a piece. So you understand, when I build one of these and I go to sell it, that check is like $900,000. You better believe I'm making sure that buyer can afford it. Imagine that one not closing. Ouch! Right? So I don't take my eyes off the selling machine ever because everybody else gets paid but me. Right? So I want to make sure I teach you how to handhold the buyers to make sure they can get approved and closed, because 70% of the American population right now cannot get a mortgage. 70. Well, they're carrying big credit card debt and very large car payments and very large student loans. So the back-end ratio doesn't work. So that's why we need to make sure you understand the calculations on Saturday, so when you take your house off on the market, you know that big fat check is coming home to rest in your bank account. That's Saturday. We're starting at 9.
Yes, doors open at 8.
And we're gonna probably go till about 5:30, because I'm gonna go long on Saturday to make sure we get it all in there. And then Sunday is the vacation rental piece. So here's what I wanna do with you on Sunday, because I didn't have a whole lot of time to talk about it tonight. I've got 14 vacation rentals. Folks, I manage all 14 myself. You're looking at the property manager right here. Those 14 properties take me about 3.5 to 4 hours a week. They do over $1.5 million. I started out with one that was $99 a night, really didn't want to be doing it, argued with people who tried to get me into it. I'm not washing sheets and towels behind people every 3 or 4 days. I fought it for 2 years. I was an idiot. I have drunk the vacation rental Kool-Aid. And it is the easiest real estate investing I've seen in 30 years. The profits are 3 times what it's like to be in a buy and hold situation. And all the fears that you have about people tearing your house up and all that stuff, it's not what you think if you buy the right ones and run this thing like a business. My days of chasing low-end stuff is over. It's just as easy. The booking I got this afternoon was $4,300 for 6 nights, for July 12th through the 17th. I would just soon get that and deal with that. And once you get the autoresponders built up that I'm going to show you how to do, there's no interaction whatsoever. If it's there and you have Instabook turned on, they see it, they take it, they accept it, the autoresponders welcomes them, the autoresponder sends them the check-in information. The only thing I do is send a text if I know it's a birthday or something like Grandma's 80th, hey, hope you have a great birthday while you're there. You know, you don't have to, but I do a little touchy-feely with every guest because I'm after the rebooking to come back. And so we'll talk about that. So what I want to do on Sunday with you, number one, is share with you where the best vacation rentals are, and it's not where you think. It's not Aruba or Hawaii. We'll talk about like cancer hospitals that do transplants and cancer treatments where you get 9-month stays. We'll talk about the long stays. I want to go through zoning and planning and the rules and regulations and teach you how that's a moving target, so you got to stay up on that. The other thing is I want to make sure that you buy a vacation rental where they love you and where they want you, not where the city's got to burr up their saddle and they can change the rules in a split second, like Orlando, where the mouse is at. The hotels, the Disney hotels hate vacation rentals and they'll do everything in their power to shut it down. And the minute they get them shut down, then all of us fight and they put them back. I don't own any more down in Orlando, never will. Branson loves you and welcomes you with open arms and has no desire to ever change it. So that's one of the reasons I'm there. There are parts of Florida where I own a bunch of them also, and they're kicking butt there too. So we'll talk about it because I've looked at 12 different cities around the country, trying to find something more profitable than the ones I have in Florida and Branson. Haven't found that as of yet. So we'll talk about numbers, profitability, how you finance them because it's very different than residential stuff or rental. I want to go through the cleaning team procedures because your 5-star reviews are what matters. If you're a 4.6 review, you're in trouble. There's a big difference between 4.6 and a 4.8, guys, and your cleaning team is your baby. So I have a set of cleaning team procedures. It's got 48 things that you got to monitor. That handout, I need to know how many on that too. And then I think what would be good for them, how many of you haven't bought your first vacation rental? So you don't know it's going to be 23 trips to Walmart. All right, what I have is something called the vacation rental shopping list. It is a list of everything you have to have, and you can hand that to a secretary and hand her $3,500, and then you don't have to do it, and it can get done in a day. Because every day you lose is $200 or $300 you're not getting booked. So if you're taking a rental and making a vacation rental, you don't want to waste a month and lose $6,000 or $7,000. So I want to do the shopping list with them, and then the other thing I think would be important for them, because I know they don't know this, is they don't know what they need to send to their accountant to do their taxes with a vacation rental. So my CPA is Ben Rucker Tax. He was with the IRS for 10 years. He left the dark side and came to the light. He was the head of their fraud investigation department. So he's who does my taxes. So he made a spreadsheet for me that's a plug-in, fill in the blank of revenue, expenses, what's deductible, how much, and then what he has to depreciate, and then a budget that goes with that, and then the actual. So I'll go ahead and print off the spreadsheets off of Excel and give you that. That's your template, so you get to take that with you. So I'm good to go ahead and do all those handouts. What's the price this weekend again?
For the whole weekend is $65 for members, $75 for non-members, add on a spouse for $30.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And lunch is included?
Yes.
I'm not even worth the price of a movie ticket. That's like $400 worth of handouts, but it's all good, right? Question?
What is the time on Sunday? Is it also
9 to 5. Yeah, I got nowhere to go but Branson. Sunday night.
And then I have a question about the four.
Sure.
Whenever you do number 3, does the only work if the house is paid off? Because what if you're paying $1,000 a month and it wasn't?
Okay, first of all, hang on. First of all, that is how the formula for a free and clear house. Remember, she was free and clear. If they owe a loan, let's say the loan was small and she owes $450 a month. Could I pay her $450 a month loan and then still give her $550?
Yes.
It's called a subject to. Yeah, but here's the thing. I am never going to put myself in a position where I buy her house if she's got what's called a reverse mortgage on it. You all understand what a reverse is? Where the bank's giving her money every month and the loan amount keeps going up. Well, I can't ever get it to go down. So if she's got a reverse on it, we're dead. Okay? Unless I pay cash and the reverse is small enough that the cash offer will cover the reverse and it clears itself. Okay? Good question. All right, we good? One more, because I'm already like 20 minutes over.
You mentioned there are 2 sources of data.
The other one is listability.com. I use Listability now, and the only reason I do is it's the exact same list from ListSource, except it's 4.5 cents a name, and ListSource is now 8. So it's half as much to use Listability. And listen, I'm dumb when it comes to this stuff, guys. You can get on listability.com and extract all the data yourself and save a half a penny. Or you do old school like me and you call Listability and tell the young whippersnapper programmer that answers the phone to pull me the list. And then they guarantee it's right. If I pull the list and I do non-owner occupied, let's say, thinking I got out-of-state owner, I got a bad list. You understand, non-owner occupied is not nearly as motivated as out-of-state. So that's why I just tell them what I want and let them extract it, and they charge me 4.5 cents instead of 4. Does that make sense? Okay, we good? Are they ready to drink and eat? Is that the idea?
Yeah, we've got QR codes if you wanna register for the weekend, also have paper registrations up here, so.
What I'm gonna have you do is, why don't we just pass out the green and the orange sheets and they can look at that later. I'm not gonna have time to give that away. What I will do is, we'll make a point to do that on Saturday. She's gonna pass out some course stuff. I do have courses. We'll go over discounts on Saturday and Sunday. We're not gonna get to that tonight. But I got a question before we go. How many of you are mad you didn't win a thing from me? I mean, they gave away $50 gift cards and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
How many of you are just absolutely mad you're going home with nothing?
Me.
Sure, yes. All my money back.
Ed, can I put you to work? Then I can pick can I pick a good looking fellow on this side? All right. I brought presents to give away. This is a 90-minute class with me for everybody called The Best Houses to Flip versus The Best House to Keep. If you listen to this will help you to figure out what you're doing. Am I keeping it or I'm flipping it? Go ahead, honey. So I thought it would be nice to go ahead and give everybody one of those. Yes? No? Great. 3 of you actually can. All right. While they're passing that stuff out, you want me to keep giving stuff out or? Okay. When I work with students, and I've got 39,000 of you, the first and most important thing that I do is I teach you all the marketing stuff there is. There's 28 different marketing strategies y'all can use. Put this down in your notes, the ones that aren't passing stuff out. Here's some of the other direct mail campaigns you can use. Out-of-state owners is the most profitable for me. The second direct mail campaign that's been really good with me are probate attorneys, real estate attorneys, personal injury attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, and divorce. Ooh, divorce has been a good one lately. Holy smokes, since COVID. So I direct mail to all of those. I also do MLS searches. We'll cover that on Saturday. My realtor has set up 4 searches that run in the MLS every night in the middle of the night and dump the good stuff into my lap first thing in the morning. I've got 2 houses on 1 piece of land that are vacation rentals that do $70,000 a year, and I bought them for $125. So that was my first vacation rental. So the MLS searches that run every night in the middle of the night looking for price changes, looking for estate sales that just got listed. looking for anything that's like bank owned, corporate owned, or handyman special. That's been a good way for me to find stuff. Is there anybody in here that's really challenged with finding deals? Just can't seem to get it. You do? Really?
It's always a challenge.
I'm gonna make your night. I'm gonna go ahead and give this to you. This is called Renovating for Massive Profits. This is everything I've learned after 400 houses. That's a $500 present. The first 2 chapters are all the marketing stuff for you. You're welcome. You're welcome, all the talent. All right, let me give away a couple more things and then we'll get out of here. You want that one? You don't even know what it is. It could be rap music. Let me ask a question. Who's the person in the room who's got 1 foot in a day job and 1 foot in this, and you go back and forth between you want to be full-time, but you're afraid to let go? Why are you afraid to let go? What keeps you there? Income and what else? Oh, you got little ones. How many? 3 and a 7? Boys or girls? Oh, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You got a long way to go. They're only 3 and 7, don't you? You got a wife too? What'd she do? What did he say?
Stay at home.
Stay at home?
Mom.
So she's got the full-time job of taking care of you and them. Okay? I'm going to give this to you. Oops. I want to give this to you. I wanted kids. I got ready to get married and have kids, and I got cancer. Is the gift I got. So I was just ready to get pregnant at like 38, went in, and they said, we need to take all that out. I was mad. You're wrong. Then I said, what are you going to bawl about? They operated on you and they got it. You're going to live to see another day. So if you can't be a mom to one, why not be a mom to many? So I built an orphanage in Haiti for 165 kids. So I'm going to give this to you. The last part of this is how to set up the educational IRA for the kids and how to find a deal and give it to somebody else and take that entire $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 and put it in the kids' college fund. Don't take this lightly. Now, you're going to laugh because there's CDs in the front, but if you wait around for me, I will give you the USB because I gave him the big one, so I need to give you a USB that goes with that so you can listen to that. So give him All right. Let's give away a couple more things while you're hanging in there. Who's got the negative mother? Oh, the hand went up and the eyes went down. My biological parents were 2 of the meanest people that walked the face of this earth. My dad was a raging alcoholic, so when I needed to be side by side with him for chemo and radiation for a year, it was all I could do to be like, okay, right? And not say a bunch of the stuff I really wanted to get even with, right? Now, my dad was better than my mother. My mother was permanently planted to a broomstick handle and she flied it regularly. And not just at Halloween, if you know what I'm saying. Your mom alive or dead? So you can hear her. You hear her voice when she's not there, right? Tells you you shouldn't be here tonight because this wouldn't work. Right? Here's the thing. Everybody's going to have a right to an opinion, sweetie. It doesn't mean it's fact for your life. I know exactly where I was at 36 years old when I drew the line in the sand that said that voice inside my head is no more controlling what I do. You got this. You can do this. I told you tonight you don't have to be a Harvard MBA. You just have to care. Right? I was 175 houses in, speaking all over this country, and they still thought I was going to work at IBM because I didn't want to hear it. Surround yourself with the people that love you, who are your biggest raving fans, and they're in this room, and the voice will have no more effect. Yep. This is called the Wealth Blueprint. It's going to erase all the bad money programs you got and put the new ones inside your head. All right, and you see me for a USB also. All right, last one I want to give away is the seller finance course, how to do the negotiations of the 3 offers. This is how I buy a lot of my vacation rentals. So this one goes leading right into the vacation rental world. How am I gonna do this? Who's the youngest in the room? Sit down. You are? How old are you, young man? Oh my God, if I'd only started that age. Do I have anybody younger than that? Back here. We got a baby in the room, that don't count. One of you got one inside of you, somewhere that's not out yet. How old are you? 17. If you had your choice between negotiations and vacation rentals, which would you pick? Okay, come here. This is the hottest book off the press, guys. This is by Daniel Rustring. He was one of the co-founders at Airbnb, and they fired him about 8 months after they launched. He was the one that wanted to go worldwide. He was the one that wanted to, you could sleep on a couch, sleep in a room, sleep in a house. They didn't want to hear it. And then he left them. He has spent his entire career critiquing and sleeping in everybody's Airbnbs and then helping them improve their listing. Helping them optimize their headlines so they grab more attention. Because here's what you gotta understand. When you put a house up on Airbnb like I do, I've got 4 seconds. The average person goes down 4 seconds on each listing. If I don't grab you in 4 seconds, you're on to the next house. So it's called looks to views to book. This will drive your numbers through the ceiling. So that one's for you. All right, so you're good to read that one. And then, buddy, this is the negotiation one for you because I want to reward you too. You're welcome. That's a $500 gift. Don't take that lightly. Folks, the courses are all there with all the chapters and the titles. What I'm going to do while I'm here, all of the rehab courses, which is 38 hours, there's 4 courses wrapped up in that. It shows on the back of your green sheet, they're $14.95. While I'm here this weekend, all the rehab courses will come down to $9.95. I've agreed to that with Ed. That's what we sold them at the last time we were here. The vacation rental negotiation course is typically $757. While I'm here this weekend, we're going to reduce that down to $495. That one's on the orange sheet. So the orange sheet is buy and hold. The green sheet is flipping. I call it cash versus building wealth. There are 2 boot camps that I teach. One is called the Junker to Million Boot Camp. I've been teaching that one 25 years. We've had 39,000 students go through that boot camp. That next one is in June. Then we have another one in Florida in January. You got to come to me. That's where my contractors are. So it's a 5-day intense boot camp. We'll talk a lot more about it on Saturday at lunchtime. That one's an intense 5 days drinking from a fire hose. The vacation rental boot camp is in Branson, Missouri at the Chateau on the Lake Resort. It's the finest hotel in all of Branson. That one's an intense 4-day boot camp. Either one of those boot camps are $1,000 to go to it. I am the only speaker in this industry that allows her kids to repeat it and take it as many times as they need to for free. And what I can tell you, I will teach both of those boot camps until the day I die. Last year I took 8 months off of speaking. Many of you were worried I wasn't coming back. I got bored. I'm back for about 6 months this year, and then I'm going to take another year off, but don't worry, we'll still have the boot camps no matter what. Even if there's 2 people in them, I have committed to the 40,000 students that I have that there will be 2 a year until I die. All right? So vacation rental ones, you come to me in Branson. You get to walk through all the houses. We have you over for dinner. That way I share all the numbers, expenses, and revenue so you understand how much they make. And then if you get anything that's close in price and revenue numbers to what I got in Branson, you know you got a grand slam no matter where it's at. That's all right. I don't think I have any other things. Any other questions? Nobody's got any questions. Like, where's the beer? We good? They know when Saturday they're just going to take a picture with their phone and register that way? Is that what they're supposed to do?
I have a paper if they don't like using their phone.
That would be me. So filling out paperwork for you old ones like me, taking a picture of the QR code if you're fancy like these guys.
We need to have numbers.
Well, yeah, I got a bunch of handouts to make, so tomorrow. So can you please not walk in Saturday afternoon and say I'm here? Because that would, and food too. Yeah, she's got food to order for all of you, so just make sure you get registered tonight if you're coming. One more question from the young lady. Yes, yeah, all the courses that you see on there are in boxes up here. So the whole 38 hours of the Junker one is like a 7-pound box. So we're gonna go ahead and give that to you. If you do the negotiation one, that one's about 4.5 pounds. Yeah, so we have them all here for you, and we'll have them through the weekend also. Any other questions? All right, my last comment. Hopefully, the next time they have me back to Oklahoma, I hope there's not a Junker house left in this town for anybody to get, because I hope you got them all. So go rehab the entire city to your heart's content. And I'm gonna just finish up with Lisa a little bit, and I'm gonna go have a beer, I think.
Okay.
That's something I don't normally do, but I think that tonight, by God, I'm in Oklahoma, I think we ought to, right? All right, we'll see you all for cheeseburgers and stuff in a minute. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. All right, good deal.
Okay.
So you got your equals glasses?
Cheeseburgers and beer.
I'm gonna be friends with you.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's 100%. Yeah.
You said you wanted to get a new deal. Last time
It's an abnormal situation. My mother passed away, and I bought my sister's half of the house out.
I see.
But whatever.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about
Yeah,
that.
the interest rates are killing everything else I was working on, so I'm just kind of stopping on everything else.
Yeah, eventually, and I hope she's right, that the prices will eventually come down based on the interest rates, because we still have generally high prices with high interest rates. And it's insane. It's just really hard to justify buying anything. Anyway,
I've stretched on what I've done, and I just got to stop.
yeah.
I've got a bunch of building lots for duplexes.
See, I love that. We talked
I
last month.
I can't move forward with it because everyone I get built is going to cost me several $100s a month. I have to put money in it
Yeah.
for each side. Yeah, so it's just all negative cash flow right now.
Yeah, that's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I'll probably
Well-
build the road this coming winter out of my pocket, and then we may do some next year.
Well, that idea of buying 10 acres or whatever, putting a road down the middle and putting duplexes on each side, there's a guy that's done that in Midwest City. And I don't know if I assume he's making money. I love that idea. I think that's a brilliant idea. I've owned a bunch of rental
Oh, we'll
properties.
do it. I mean, the 4 houses up front make all the payments. So we'll just get in a better and better position on it.
That's good stuff. Good luck. I want to see what this is all about. Oh, this is that guy.